You are not here by chance at this moment if you found this prayer. It's because a divine force is already working to break the invisible chains that hold you prisoner, the toxic bonds that poison your soul. The family curses passed down from generation to generation, the spiritual blocks that prevent your light from shining. All of this is about to be confronted with a power greater, more ancient, more powerful than any darkness. Saint Michael the Archangel has already heard the silent cry of your heart, and his sword of light is ready to cut what must be severed from your life. If you feel this prayer was created specifically for you at this crucial moment in your existence, write in the comments, Saint Michael, break every chain in my life and join this powerful current of liberation that is already transforming countless lives like yours, glorious Saint Michael the Archangel. Prince of the heavenly hosts, I come before you with the weight of chains. I can no longer bear you who defeated Lucifer and his rebellious angels. You who know the divine art of separating light from darkness. I turn to you with complete trust in your liberating intervention. I feel toxic bonds wrapping around my soul like venomous serpents, relationships that should nourish me, but instead drain me. People who should elevate me, but instead drag me down. Situations that seem impossible to leave despite the pain they cause. Saint Michael, with your flaming sword, cut these unhealthy bonds that imprison me in cycles of suffering and emotional dependency. I recognize the faces of those who exert a negative influence on my life. I clearly see how their words, their gestures, even their silences have created invisible threads that bind me to patterns of self-sabotage and repeated pain. Saint Michael, give me the strength to recognize these bonds for what they are. Chains, not protections. Prisons, not refuges. Illuminate my discernment, so I may see the truth behind masks of false affection and manipulative concern. O powerful Archangel, free me from the energetic cords that bind me to people who have abused my trust, my love, my generosity, where there are people who continue to drain my life force like emotional vampires. May your sword of truth sever every unhealthy connection where there are relationships based on guilt and emotional blackmail. May your shield of justice protect me from the poisoned arrows of false responsibilities. Saint Michael, my personal liberation is only the first level of healing I need. I feel the weight of something older, deeper, more rooted in my being. Family curses that seem to flow in my blood like a dark inheritance, destructive patterns, repeating generation after generation. As if an invisible thread connected my destiny to that of my ancestors in a seemingly endless dance of suffering. I see in my family the same problems repeating like an endless echo, the same addictions, the same failures, the same financial blocks, the same illnesses, the same tormented loves. It's as if a sentence was pronounced long before my birth, condemning me to relive the same dramas, to fall into the same abysses, to carry the same burdens that broke the shoulders of those who came before me. Glorious Archangel, I beg you to intervene with your celestial authority in this ancestral line of suffering. May your sword of divine fire cut these karmic bonds that chain me to a past that doesn't belong to me. May your light penetrate to the deepest roots of my family tree, purifying what has been contaminated, liberating what has been cursed, restoring what has been broken. Saint Michael, if negative vows have been pronounced against my family in times past, may they now be dissolved by the power of your name. If ancient pacts with dark forces were made by desperate or unknowing ancestors, may they now be nullified by your divine authority. If curses have been cast against my bloodline, may they now be neutralized and transformed into blessings by your purifying presence as I invoke your liberating presence. I also feel the weight of spiritual blocks that seem like insurmountable walls on the path of my soul evolution. It's as if a dense fog envelops my spiritual perception, as if heavy veils separate me from the divine light. I so desire to experience. My prayer seems to bounce against an invisible ceiling. My meditation appears sterile. My connection with the divine intermittent and unsatisfying. Saint Michael, you who are the guardian of the heavenly gates, I ask you to remove every obstacle on my spiritual path. if negative entities have created blocks in my energy field. May your presence disperse them like fog at sunrise. If old emotional wounds have hardened my heart, creating armor impermeable to divine grace, may the fire of your love melt it, restoring the spiritual sensitivity that belongs to me by divine birthright, Archangel of Light. As this prayer intensifies, I feel something moving within and around me. It's as if ancient locks are beginning to unlock, as if rusty chains are beginning to weaken under the pressure of your divine presence. Continue. I beg you, this work of liberation to the deepest roots of my soul, Saint Michael. I now look with greater clarity at the toxic bonds that have drained my life force for so long. I see people I've allowed to remain in my life far beyond the time necessary for my spiritual learning. I see relationships that keep me anchored to old versions of myself I've already outgrown. I see emotional dependencies disguised as love, control masked as protection, manipulation dressed as sincere help with your divine guidance. I now commit to begin a process of conscious detachment from these toxic influences. Give me the courage to establish healthy boundaries where they've been violated, to speak necessary truths where silence has created complicity, to distance myself physically and emotionally where proximity continues to feed unhealthy dynamics. Glorious Archangel. My attention now turns to the family curses that seem to flow in my blood. I recognize them in the stories I've been told since childhood, in phrases repeated as indisputable truths. In our family, money always slips through our fingers. None of us has ever been lucky in love. Illness always strikes us young. We're not made for success. These words have created deep grooves in my psyche, limiting what I believe possible for me. Saint Michael, with your sword of truth, cut these false beliefs at the root. Help me understand that I am not condemned to repeat my ancestors' mistakes, that their destiny need not be mine, that I can honor their memory by breaking the chains they carried, rather than perpetuating them. May I become a turning point in my family line, an ancestral healer, one who transforms curses into blessings for future generations. Powerful protector. I now turn my attention to the persistent spiritual blocks that have hindered my evolution. I recognize that some of these blocks were created by my own fear of fully embracing my power, fear of what I might discover in the depths of silence, fear of surrendering completely to divine will. Other blocks seem to come from negative experiences with spiritual authority figures who distorted my perception of the divine. Saint Michael, purify my spiritual path from these distortions and resistances. Remove the clouded lenses through which I have viewed the divine until now. Dissolve the fog of confusion that has made me wander in circles. Instead of advancing, restore in me the purity of spiritual perception of a child, while maintaining the wisdom of a conscious adult. Archangel of divine fire. As this prayer continues, I feel your energy increasing around me like a storm of light growing in intensity. It's as if layers of dense energy are melting under the heat of your presence, as if complex knots are untying under the skilled touch of your angelic hands. I feel spaces opening within me, where before there was only compression and constriction. Saint Michael, I ask you to extend this liberation to all aspects of my life and my physical body, where repressed emotions and unprocessed traumas might manifest as illness or chronic pain. Bring your healing energy, dissolve energy blocks in my chakras, restore vital flow in my meridians, release cellular memories that hold old limiting patterns in my mind, where obsessive thoughts and self-limiting beliefs have created invisible prisons. Bring your light of truth, disintegrate neural patterns associated with fear and self-sabotage. Create new thought pathways aligned with my highest potential. Free my creative imagination from self-imposed censorship and limitations in my emotions. Where old wounds continue to bleed beneath the surface of my awareness, bring your celestial balm, dissolve layers of crystallized resentment. Transform pain into wisdom, anger into constructive power, sadness into deep compassion. Free me from the shame that keeps me small, from the guilt that keeps me prisoner of the past, from the fear that prevents me from embracing the future. Saint Michael, as I approach the conclusion of this prayer, I feel a sense of lightness I haven't felt in a long time. It's as if invisible weights are beginning to lift from my shoulders. As if chains I didn't even know I was carrying are beginning to dissolve, I breathe more deeply, as if my lungs suddenly have more room to expand. As if the air itself is richer and more nourishing, I thank you, powerful Archangel, for every toxic bond you are loosening, for every family curse you are neutralizing, for every spiritual block you are dissolving. My gratitude toward you extends beyond the boundaries of time and space. Resonating in the celestial dimensions from which you preside with love and justice, I know that the liberation process you have begun today will continue to unfold in the days, weeks, and months to come. I ask you to remain by my side as I navigate the sometimes turbulent waters of this profound transformation. Give me the strength not to return to old chains for familiar comfort, the courage to resist attempts by those who benefited from my imprisonment to pull me back, the wisdom to recognize authentic freedom from seductive illusions of false liberation. Saint Michael the Archangel, I seal this prayer with my unwavering trust in your divine intervention. I already feel that something profound has shifted in the invisible architecture of my reality. The toxic bonds that seemed indestructible begin to lose their grip. The family curses that seemed written in my destiny begin to fade like ink exposed to light. The spiritual blocks that seemed like insurmountable mountains begin to reveal secret passages through them. Thank you, Saint Michael, for hearing my prayer. Thank you for answering the cry of my soul. Thank you for the liberation you have brought and will continue to bring into my life. With deep reverence and gratitude, I salute you, knowing that our spiritual bond will continue to strengthen with every step I take toward the complete freedom you have helped me glimpse today. If this prayer has resonated in the depths of your soul, know that a powerful process of liberation has already begun in your life. Saint Michael is already working to break the chains that have held you prisoner for too long. But this is only the first step of a journey to complete spiritual freedom that awaits you. The next prayer, which appears on the screen right now, might be exactly what you need to consolidate this liberation and then begin rebuilding your life on foundations of authentic divine freedom. Click and continue to receive the deep healing that heaven has prepared specifically for you at this crucial moment in your journey.